The PM mentioned that they're going to basically open up Medisave to more outpatient treatments.
Right.
So how does that figure out because one of the key things that you did mention was that people don't get treated before the illness becomes serious. So would that actually help in some way to
I think it will, but the problem is still, you see, a lot of people, I mean, how many people in this room have checked their blood pressure?
Oops.
Yes, one. Very good. You know, one of the good things about being a Singaporean male is when you turn 35, you have to go for your screening before your IPPT. And for most guys, that's about the very first time that they ever get their blood pressure checked. Okay? And part of the reason is people don't think that they're going to have a problem, you know, until you say your friend or your neighbor has got a heart attack. Then a lot of people go and get screened. But so that's the first step. You see, is you need to be able to do it. Then the second step is once you've been diagnosed, say for example with high blood pressure, then you need to have access to the drugs, and you need to be able to make sure that you have a constant supply of the drugs. And actually the drugs for high blood pressure are relatively inexpensive. You go to a polyclinic, you pay $5 a month, you can get fairly decent drugs. But there are some people whose blood pressure cannot be controlled by that. So you need more expensive drugs. And if you start depleting, and that's the whole reason why Medisave wasn't for outpatient in the first place, because the fear was that you start paying, you know, $300-400 a month for your high blood pressure drugs. Within a few years, you've depleted out your Medisave, you see. So if you do get a heart attack, you know, despite taking your high blood pressure drugs, then there's no more money left in your Medisave. And what happens is you end up tapping on your children's Medisave, your parents' Medisave. So there is this intergenerational payment, which is what the whole Medisave idea was supposed to be to prevent. See, the argument was in Western countries, because it's tax-based, so you've got the workers of today paying for the healthcare costs of the workers of yesterday, or the so-called pioneer generation. But now with Medisave, where people are using their children's Medisave, then effectively you're doing the same thing. So I think it's not a bad idea, but it's a tweaking kind of maneuver. And the reality is that people don't realize this, but the 3Ms is such a small part of our total healthcare expenditure that, you know, you're just tweaking a small part of it. The big thing is the employer-funded healthcare and the out-of-pocket payments, you see. And the employer-funded healthcare are among the things which are hurting the small businesses and you know, forcing people to relocate out of Singapore. In fact, that's part of the reason why healthcare reform in the United States is being driven, is because the employers are saying, you know, why are we paying so much? You know, surely the government should take a bigger step in this. So I think that's one of the concerns here.
If I may add to this from a cash flow perspective, we have $60 billion of Medisave in the CPF accounts today. If we just take a conservative 6% return, of course we're not going to get 16% like Temasek, right? 6% of 60 billion is 3.6 billion. Isn't that enough to pay
for the entire government health expenditure? It can double government health expenditure.
And this is just the interest alone. I haven't even count, as I mentioned earlier, the 7 billion or so that is going into Medisave every year.
Right.
Don't cost the government a single cent to provide healthcare. In fact, they make a lot of money, right, from the healthcare system. Do you agree, Paul?
It's true. I never thought about it that way. But the amount of money that, you know, the healthy young people are putting into Medisave is quite considerable. And right now, as he said, it's an untapped gold mine in a sense. And in fact, that's part of the SDP plan is you give the money back to the people. You take and you take the premium out of their CPF. But I guess the other way is just to take the Medisave.
You see, in other countries, you pay, in most countries today, you pay a national insurance premium to cover your healthcare, right? I think at up to 9 or 9.5%, we have the highest national insurance premium in the world. I don't know, but you know, Paul, I've yet to see any country where just for healthcare alone, they're charging you 9 or 9.5% of your salary every month.
Yeah, and again, this is because the idea of Medisave, it's like the CPF idea. You're paying, but then you're not supposed to use it until after you retire.
In the meantime, who uses the money?
Exactly. So that's a question, I guess. Yeah.
Now you know why, Paul, the salary is so high, you know. All I think come from all these.
Thank you very much.